Spiritual modesty transforms others. Geronda. How can someone who enters a monastery discard the worldly state of mind, the worldly air that he still has? When he enters the monastery, he must forget the world, and then must not forget that he is in a monastery. At home perhaps he wasn't helped, wasn't brought up properly, but now it is important what kind of spiritual education he receives here in the monastery. Of course, it will be a monastic education. The monastery is a sacred place. The outside world is something else. When someone is aware of being in a sacred place, modesty and restraint come by themselves. But if one forgets and imagines oneself in the world while in the monastery, how then can modesty be cultivated? A nun must move about in a natural manner, with simplicity, with humility, and not try to look wretched. Such behavior is repulsive and disgusting. In some novice sisters who walk with an air of confident pride, I see something worldly. They walk like brides in the world, not brides of Christ. Whereas I observe something sacred in those who walk with a modest gait. What a difference between the one and the other. One can immediately understand what monasticism is. If you observe the wheat stalks, you will notice that the ones which are standing tall and upright have nothing inside, whereas the wheat stalks which are mature and ripe are bending downward. A devout monk can transform others who look upon him. Just today a priest monk came whom I have known for many years, even though he is not particularly handsome. That is, he does not have an external beauty. Every time he received Holy Communion, I saw him glow. But even when he was not receiving Holy Communion, I detected a light, a spiritual gleam in his face. Just as the asphalt on the roads can be seen with a gleaming shine from a distance in the summer, even though it is tar, so in this case one can see brightness in someone who is not handsome. This, of course, is not a very good example, but what can one put forward as an example? The spiritual condition of his inner being endows him with an external glow. This is spiritual beauty, grace, divine grace. In contrast, other clerics who are externally handsome but who have a worldly spirit and move about with an air of worldly pride are so repulsive. You see someone who is entirely secular. Apart from his ordination as a clergyman, there is nothing else spiritual to see. A person's face mirrors his soul. This is what Christ said. The light of the body is the eye. If therefore thine eye be single, thy whole body shall be full of light. If someone has simplicity, humility, there is divine enlightenment and he shines. Now this is what a monk must achieve. Geronda. Saint Nalus the Calavaros says that from the moment someone is tonsured to be a monk, he will become either an angel or a devil. Does this mean that there is nothing in between? What he means is that a monastic person must seek to do the very best possible work in his calling. This is why when a monk of the great habit falls into mortal sin, God allows a rod to fall upon him for the purpose of expiation. Sometimes we imagine that grace can be obtained by external means, in an artificial or magical manner, but this way neither God nor the person himself is at ease, and others are also not put at ease by such superficial spirituality. Some monks, for example, make broad and long great habits, reaching down to their feet, with red crosses, roses, red branches, and many letters. And they open their cassock to reveal the habit, like the Pharisees who make broad their phylacteries and enlarge the borders of their garments. to show that they pray a lot. But in the past one could barely see the habit under the cassock of a monk as he walked. In fact, many wore a small habit underneath to hide it altogether. Now we have vain and empty things. Is this how they will receive grace from the habit? The habit abhors them and grace departs. The goal is to become a monk of the great habit from within, and anyone who is a monk of the great habit from within will hide his external habit. An external object does not bring about the inner transformation. Thus, man remains on the external plane, and in the end Christ will tell us, I know you not.